Matthew 18:18. Truly I tell you, whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. As we look at this text today, I'd like to look at three specific things: its misuse, the context of the text, and the application of this text. Firstly, its misuse. This text has been misused to invoke God to acquiesce to human desires, to loose blessings, health, finances, and so much more, to bind the devil, demons, sickness, financial lack, and so much more. But let's look at the context to answer this. In the chapter, we see the following happen. It deals with greatness in the kingdom of God, namely, being like children who have childlike trust. This is followed by a severe chastisement to anyone who causes one of these, referring to children or those having childlike faith, to stumble. This is followed by the parable of the wandering sheep, relating God's love for children and the extent to which He would go to find them were they to be lost. This is followed by our specific passage for today, namely dealing with sin in the church. And the text concludes with the parable of the unmerciful servant. That's Matthew chapter 18. And the theme throughout is God's love in keeping and looking for the child, the lost, the oppressed. Now Matthew 18:18, that specific verse is nested within a section concerning church discipline. Let me read from verse 15 onwards. If your brother or sister sins, go and point out their fault, just between the two of you. If they listen to you, you have won them over. But if they will not listen, take one or two others along, so that every matter may be established by the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses. If they still refuse to listen, tell it to the church. And if they refuse to listen even to the church, treat them as you would a pagan or tax collector. Verse 18, truly I tell you, whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. Again, truly I tell you, that if 2 of you on earth agree about anything they ask for, it will be done for them by my Father in heaven. For where 2 or 3 gather in my name, there I am with them. Binding and loosing is originally a Jewish Mishnaic phrase, also mentioned in the New Testament, as well as in the Targum. In usage, to bind and to loose simply means to forbid by an indisputable authority and to permit by an indisputable authority. So what is the correct application? Notice that in the context of the chapter, verse 18 concerning church discipline is to be interpreted in the same nature of the chapter, namely, God's desire that none are lost. For example, children, those with childlike faith, those who wander away, those who sin and resist repenting, and those who are in need of mercy. The text indicates that when the church acts as the church in matters of discipline and judgment between individuals, it is doing the work of loosing and binding, having been given the authority of Jesus to do so.